And then finally, the annual plan will not meet Section 100 of the Local Government Act, which is to provide a balanced budget, and this is mainly due to the impact of loan funding, the operational costs. All other financial prudence benchmarks have been met, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Are there any questions from councillors? Recognising, of course, we did have the draft annual plan come to us on the 27th of April, so I think we've probably asked a lot of them already. And there's been minimal changes since that draft. Councillor Mawson.
Through the chair, sorry, it's just a minor tweak. I just wanted to bring your attention to, it's just a wording thing on page 15 of the agenda. I think it might be page 14 of the actual annual plan. It just says development of a child and youth wellbeing strategy for ahuriri. Now, I just noticed there's other areas that are talked about, like Maraenu Reserve, Taro Reserve. I'm assuming that's for ahuriri Napier. Just wondering if we could have the addition of Napier, just so there's no confusion.
Yes, absolutely. We can make that change.
Any further questions or any just discussion before I ask for a mover and seconder? Councillor Bowe.
Yes, I just on the same page as Councillor Mawson, I wondered if it would be possible to add something about the fact that we are in the process of applying for or becoming an age-friendly city. If that I think is quite significant, and it's a real success, and thank you staff who put that through. So if that could be included in that list of on that page.
Yep, and actually thank you for pointing that out, because I understand that Michelle in our community services area is actually working on that, so that will be another minor change to the final draft.
Okay. Thank you. If there's no further questions or discussion, I'm happy to move from the chair. If I could have a seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brosnan. And I guess just wanting to say thank you to all the team that have been working on this. I know that we've been juggling multiple roles at the moment, and I think our decision not to consult was the right decision so that we could focus on this, and it's good actually to be able to adopt it nice and early. We do normally adopt it pretty much, the 29th of June, and because we are really motivated now to commence work on our long-term plan, this creates the opportunity to do that. So thank you so much for all the work that you've done on it. Deputy Mayor. Any further speakers? I'll put the motion then. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thanks, Caroline. And following on from this, of course, we have our 2023-24 rates resolution, and Gary is here to talk to this one.
Thank you, Your Worship. Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Oh, afternoon it is, isn't it? Sorry. No doubt this is the one you've all been coming in with bated breath to listen to. So in this report, we're seeking formal adoption of the rates proposed for the 2023-24 financial year. Some key points to include. This is the last year that phasing of the general rate property differential will occur. Phasing began in the 2021-22 rating year with the introduction of an amended rating system. So as the Chief Financial Officer just noted as well, a disaster recovery rate has been included to assist with the impact of Cyclone Gabriel. And the Rangatira revetment rate has been introduced to partly fund the cost of revetment construction near Whakariri Avenue. It's just off the shoreline there. This is an administrative process required under Section 23 of the Local Government Rating Act and follows on from Council adopting the 2023-24 annual plan. I'll take the paper as being read. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Councillor Brown.
A minor procedural one. Just wondering if this is the final year of the phasing in, will we be reducing the number of groups and codes to a more simplified number?
Through the Mayor, that's a very good question, and I will have to say absolutely. Part of the, just to expand on that a little bit, part of the reason we had so many of those was because although we've got 4 base differentials, they were coming from different areas, which means that the variety of ways that they'll come into those differentials was significant. So we had, 20 odd rather than just the base 4. So what we can look to do for the next rating year is to actually collapse those down, and there'll be some information around that as well, just to explain exactly how that happens, but there'll be no further impact on rates as a result of doing so.
Great. Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. While the previous resolution sat a little bit uncomfortably with me, I just want to make the observation that this is the last year of the removal of differentials. Some of our most affected residents, who are not yellowed and redded, have been significantly affected, and that's our rural properties, by Cyclone Gabriel. And they will be facing, by this resolution, the largest rates hike 3 years in a row this time around. Some are experiencing rates increase, including the annual plan increase, which is now 17 to 20% rates increase. So I just hope that when they apply for rates remission, that is seriously considered as part of their need, because their property, their tracks, their fences, their rural fences have all been affected by Cyclone Gabriel. So I think we just need to acknowledge that while previous policy decisions are good at the time, there is actually a consequence for some of our ratepayers in this circumstance.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. And just noting that for rates remissions, it is only the red or yellow stickered properties that can apply for that. Because I think, were you suggesting that it's non-stickered properties that would?
Well, there's a lot of them that are spending a lot of money on fencing at the moment.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just noting that the current rates remission policy that we have in place with regards to the cyclone was just for the red and yellow stickered properties that qualified for that.
But they may apply under other rates remission policies.
There's the special circumstances one, isn't there, Gary?
That's correct. The remission for special circumstances. The burden, or the not the burden. Sorry, the threshold for receiving that is at the discretion of council, but it can be challenging, and something that I would be cautious to do, as well as also setting precedent.
Thank you.
Through you, Your Worship, just a comment from me on that. I would just draw attention to the new fund that opened up, I believe, last week, up to $40,000 for any grower or farmer or lifestyle property affected farming. There may be an opportunity there as well, which they could contribute to, obviously, rates.
And you know, alongside that, the Nature Mural Relief Fund is also available for individuals to apply for and be considered on a case-by-case basis. Councillor Price.
Just going to item 6, Bayview connection rate. I'm just trying to get my head around this. Obviously, individuals have different starting and finishing dates. Would that be the case?
Through you, Madam Mayor. That's correct. But it was all within a few years of each other, and so we will be seeing the last of these very shortly. So this will be falling off. Thank you.
We monitor that and we let them know.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We do have a schedule. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was wondering about that too, because I knew it was coming close to being completed. Any further questions? Again, I'm happy to move from the chair. If I could have a seconder, please. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brosnan. Again, just thank you for all the work that you do on this, Gary. It's much appreciated and an important part of our annual plan process. So,
Great. Thank you.
Any further speakers? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thanks, Gary. We now have fees and charges 23-24. This is an amendment to our previous council resolution when we looked at the schedule of fees and charges. So I'll let Caroline briefly outline what we're having to change here.
Okay, thank you. So you will recall at the council meeting on the 18th of May, there was some discussion around, given that we weren't consulting on the annual plan, whether we needed to undertake a special consultative process because we were changing the resource management fees and charges under Section 36 of the Resource Management Act. We have checked and received legal advice which has confirmed that the RMA fees and charges cannot be amended without undertaking a special consultative procedure. So therefore, officers are proposing a new recommendation to adopt the schedule of fees and charges for 2023-24 and in order to maintain compliance with section 36 of the Act. So the upshot is that the RMA fees and charges will remain unchanged from 22-23. And we have also included an update to the schedule as a result of that last meeting where it was agreed that the Ocean Spa concession cards rates and some correction to the charges at the base Maranui should be included in the schedule. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Pretty straightforward. Mover and seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brosnan, seconded by Councillor Taylor. Did you wish to speak to that? Okay, thanks, Caroline. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Moving on to tenders let, and we have 2 tenders let over $100,000 in the cycle between council meetings, being the McLean Park changing room upgrade and pump station upgrades. Were there any questions? So can I have a mover and seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Gregg and Councillor Price. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Reports and recommendations from the standing committees. First up, reports from Ngā Manoka o Te Iwi. And just noting that we are appointing today, based on the nominations that came through from Ngā Manoka o Te Iwi, the representatives to our standing committees and the Audit and Risk Committee. We have had the nomination that was put forward for the Sustainable Napier and Future Napier Committees is no longer prepared to accept that nomination, so that will go back to Ngā Manoka's next meeting to get a new nomination for those 2 committees. So noting that, but other than that, I will take the various reports as read, which were the election of the Deputy Chair, the nomination of the committee meetings for our standing committees and Audit and Risk Committee, the Tareo Māori Meona Tikanga policy, and recovery from Cyclone Gabrielle. Do I have a mover and seconder, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brosnan. Councillor McGrath. Any comments? No. So I will put that. All those in favour.
Sorry, I just have a couple of questions. Are there any vacancies on the committee at the moment?
My understanding is we've
No.
got representatives for all of the.
And you mentioned before about some changes to representation on the standing committees, was it? I just missed that.
So yes, the original representative that was nominated by Ngā Manoka for Sustainable Napier and Future Napier is no longer in a position to accept that nomination, so that will be going back to Ngā Manoka o Te Iwi for a new nominee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. And our final item is the reports from the Ahuriri Regional Park Joint Committee, which was the engagement of a project manager. I will just pass to the Deputy Mayor as the chair, joint chair. You're a joint chair, aren't you, on that committee? Just if you wanted to make any comments on that.
Thank you. Chair of this committee, we have a roaming chair, which we'll rotate every year between the 3 partners to the committee. So we received a presentation from, well, we set staff off to recruit a project manager. They went through a procurement process for that. The recommendation from staff was that we appoint strategy planning with Cam Drury, and he had a team of people in support of that. So that team presented to the joint committee, was really well received. He is in the process, and that group is in the process of preparing a bit of a reverse brief back to staff as part of the acceptance of that procurement process. And we had our first workshop as well following this, where we've set out some really clear guidance around getting our stakeholders together, our interested parties, and of course council is a big part of that. So expect to see more from Cam and the strategy team presenting to us in future as well around the next steps for the regional park. But it was a really good step forward to get a project manager, an independent on board to pull us all together and get that pathway through to master planning started. So happy to take any questions if there are any. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Any questions? No, okay, so do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brosnan and Councillor Price. No further comments or speaking from anybody? So I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. That brings us to the end of our meeting. If we could all please stand for our closing karakia. Kia tau, te rangimarie, ki runga I ngā iwi katoa o Ahiriri. Kia piki te ora, te kaha, me te maramatanga, I ngā wā katoa, tihei, Māori ora. Thank you, everybody. And we're reconvening at 1.